Why are CrossFitters so, obviously steroids? And of course, if we compare top-level CrossFit athletes with top-level bodybuilders and powerlifters, we'll see that CrossFit is definitely not the best sport activity to get jacked. However, in this video, I'll talk about natties. Having many years of lifting experience, I bumped into some natty CrossFitters who were stronger and more jacked than 95+% of gym population, and who are of course leaner and with better endurance than 99.9% of gym population. And I asked myself a question: what the heck is going on? We got people who focus purely on hypertrophy, who are obsessed with the idea of optimal training, who are in search constantly of tier-ass exercises, the best ways of training muscle, who consume freak ton of fitness content related to this topic. And they are smaller than dudes who go like, yahoo, another heart attack workout. Let's just butcher some Olympic weightlifting exercises. Isn't it weird? Not really. Oftentimes, CrossFitters are being mocked and it's suggested that they are skinny, weak, and they destroy their cardiovascular system. But it's not true. And there are plenty of things that you can learn being a gym bro from CrossFitters that will help you to get jacked. First, of course, is effort. Yeah, we all know that you have to train hard to make progress. Unfortunately, most of the people in gyms don't do it. And some of you might respond that not everybody treats lifting seriously, that's for sure, but I see those people who go in the gym consistently, they spend lots of time in the gym, and guess what? They train with like no effort at all, just chit-chatting or do some pencil neck exercises. And of course the question, why to be so irrational? You can spend much less time and get the same result, or you can put more effort and get much greater result. And when you are a novice lifter, you can train to mild discomfort and make significant gains because it's enough stress for your body to adapt and to grow muscle mass and get stronger. But since you made your novice gains, it's impossible to continue training like that and expecting some hypertrophy. Think about something as playing a musical instrument. At first, even 30 minutes a day will be enough to make progress, but since you get in more experience, it's not enough to even spend 2 hours to make significant progress, and virtuosos play for like 6-8 hours a day just to maintain. And of course, when we talk about lifting, it's not about time, but about intensity and effort first and foremost. And I've seen those CrossFitters, they just go after. They really are into training and they're willing to give it all. So this is how you train and expect results. But there's another side of a coin about training hard, because it's highly bonded with how fun your training sessions are. You see, lots of people make this mistake. They treat lifting as something that takes discipline, but it's total BS. What is discipline? Discipline is about doing something that you don't like, but you keep doing despite. And if you treat lifting like this, you'll fail. Yeah, something as not skipping warm-ups or following healthy diet will take discipline, but training per se, what is the reason? Think about this. Can you really put enough effort and be consistent for many years doing something that you're not really interested at or you hate, and you're not being paid? And no person in the sane mind would do CrossFit because he has to do it. All those CrossFitters, they are obsessed with this. They're really passionate about that. And this is what you should feel towards lifting weights, and there are plenty of ways to make your training session much more fun. Usually when we talk about CrossFit, we mean endurance training, but they also focus a lot on strength training. And how does it look like? Basic compound lifts, purely. And guys, don't even try to argue with me in saying that isolation builds muscles better, or that machines build muscle better than free weights. Guys, just look at bronze era lifters. However, it's a topic for a whole dedicated video. But there is a very crucial aspect about free weights, basic compound movements that most people miss. They develop real skills of lifting weights in space or moving your body through space, which is much more fun rather than doing some cable machine. And yeah, you understand that you're getting stronger, but you can't really relate. You don't understand what you're doing. It's not really tangible if you wish. I'm not saying that you're gonna neglect training in isolation, but you shouldn't really focus on it that much as getting better at basic compound movements. I recently tried some isolated recline bicep curls with 25 kg dumbbells, and I didn't really get what was my strength. Like, what is it? Is it weak? Is it strong? Is it decent? And I was like, okay, probably my 25 kg curls were not that weak considering I'm going through severe cut. But anyway, I didn't feel satisfied at all with my strength. Now imagine something as 4-plate chin-ups. How will you feel if you hit it? It's a very different story, isn't it? Another thing is not really that obvious, but I started to mention it recently, is that most of the people in gyms are actually fat. They are not that leaner than most of the just general population. which is a shame because here's the thing. Most of CrossFitters and street workout slash calisthenics slash gym bar, whatever you call this kind of dudes, they are very lean because they are forced to be lean because it sucks so much to do CrossFit, calisthenics, being fat. But I see plenty of people in gyms who exercise consistently and they have, like fluffy stomachs and they are all fat, like 25% body fat. And guys, I am pro bulk. I used to bulk really hard, believe me, but you gotta know why you do this. Because if you just start eating more but you don't change anything in your workout, you'll just get fatter and you'll remain fat if you don't cut afterwards. And lots of people make this mistake. Don't expect magical muscle growth from eating more. You're not a steroid lifter. And also, there are lots of people who neither bulk nor cut, but they maintain at like 20-25% body fat. What is the reason? You see, you can always be leaner, you can always get rid of 5-10 kilos of this additional extra fat and maintain having visible abs. You'll be much healthier and you will look much more jacked. What a surprise. Only top elite level natural lifters can look objectively jacked when they surpass 20-25% body fat. Most of the people with even decent amount of muscle mass won't. And this is funny because most of the gym population focuses on hypertrophy, not on lifting. They are obsessed with looking good, and yet almost everybody's fat. This is kinda irrational if you ask me. Another thing which feels counterintuitive is cardio. Yeah, I know that lots of people believe that cardio burns muscle, but that's BS. It's just focusing on cardio and strength is much harder than focusing purely on strength. However, I genuinely believe that you gotta keep your cardio at a decent level because it will improve your general health. We're talking about substance transportation, blood circulation, hormone flow, and yada yada. It doesn't cause muscle growth obviously, but it all helps to build muscle. And as building muscle is a long-term process, especially if you train naturally, you gotta focus on general health. And even if you look at top-level steroid bodybuilders who are all about hypertrophy, right? Look at them. They all do lots of cardio. So if your main focus is merely hypertrophy, it's still not an excuse to skip cardio. Matter of fact, it's crucial. And the last thing that keeps you healthy and in game for a long time is, of course, mobility. CrossFit, as we know, based a lot on Olympic weightlifting exercises and in general exercises that demand mobility. So doing CrossFit, you have to ATG squat, snatch and clean and jerk, do lots of deadlifts, hoist the weight above your head in Olympic weightlifting style. I'm not talking about high incline, wide grip or head press, muscle ups, and all those things that keep your joints in a full range of motion constantly under load. And I'm not saying that you gotta focus specifically on those exercises, but you should keep your mobility at a decent level. There's a Chinese proverb, sorta, healthy joints is a secret of longevity or something like that. And if you think about that, that really is. If you go to gyms and do a little survey on shoulder, lower back, and knee pain, you'll see that 99% of gym population will have some whether discomfort or pain or chronic issues with those weak spots of your body. It happens because of the sedentary lifestyle, improper training, some muscle imbalance, and yada yada yada. So this is crucial, you gotta focus on mobility. Brute force strategy might work, but the more you brute force usually, the more your joints start hurt. I remember I was focusing on just purely lifting without any cardio, any mobility, anything this sorta, and just everything started to hurt at that point. Knees, lower back, shoulders, elbows, wrists, and I was stronger than most of the gym population, but it's not worth in this case because you cannot really keep the momentum that you've built as everything starts hurting and you turn into literally a handicapped person. Come on, man. So what do we have? It turned out that, surprisingly, if you focus on general fitness activity and health, focus on being strong and flexible and having good cardiovascular system, all of a sudden, you'll have a good physique and you'll be able to maintain those gains for years. I've mentioned some CrossFitters I met IRL in the beginning of the video, and there's a dude in my gym, we always have some conversations about training and yada yada. So he does CrossFit with lots of passion and dedication. It turned out that he was 46 years old. The guy looks like in his 30s and has a first-rate physique. And I'm not saying that it's something unique or absolutely impossible to do because I truly believe that a man can be an absolute unit even in his 60s. It's a shame that nowadays men hit 30 and turn in absolute dead bod mode. not even 30, even 20, even lots of teenagers who are so fluffy, even kids, guys. I remember when I was growing up, there were some fat, kids, but usually it was really rare. And nowadays, like, I don't know, half of the kids are so fat and fluffy. It's really a huge problem. So guys, focus on health. And I'm a barbell guy who's into lifting, tells you that health first, and strength and mass and everything else will come after it. And I hope watching this video you learn a thing or two, even if it's coming from CrossFit. And again, guys, there is no point to look down on CrossFit athletes and try to mock them, because in most of the cases, an average CrossFit enthusiast will absolutely mock and put to shame 99% of the gym bros. So it's not even objective at that point. Matter of fact, they do what they like doing, they don't hurt anybody, they try to just be fit and healthy. And yeah, maybe they are too fanatic about that. But in my book of rules is actually great, because I'm also a fanatic of a little bit different branch of training. But anyway, we do the same thing, man. Come on. Let's just act a little bit more mature and respectful. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.